Chapter 1. The Whisper in the Quarters. Lieutenant Marcus Hale shut the sliding door of his assigned quarters and leaned back against the cold alloy. The faint thrum of Celestara's engines vibrated through the walls, steady and relentless, a heartbeat of the station. He'd spent the evening wandering its cavernous hangars and glass-domed promenades, pretending not to notice the sidelong glances from alien officers who still hadn't warmed to a human serving among them. Now, all he wanted was silence. The room was Spartan. Polished black metal, one narrow bunk, a hollow console blinking softly in standby, and a viewport framing the riot of stars beyond. Outside, a nebula glowed faintly violet, its gases curling like ink in water. Marcus exhaled, letting his shoulders drop. Then he heard it, a whisper. At first, he thought it was a recycled air whistling through the vent. But no, this was shaped sound, carried on a delicate harmony of voices. He froze, every muscle taut. "Can you handle all of us?" Marcus spun around, his pulse hammering. Who's there? The silence that followed was sharp enough to make him doubt himself. He tapped the panel on his wrist, scanning for intruders. No life signs detected, only his own. Yet the air carried something strange, a trace of floral sweetness, alien and unfamiliar, curling to the sterile metal center quarters. Then, from the shadows near the bulkhead, a soft shimmer stirred. Figures emerged, small, almost childlike in stature, though their eyes held an ageless glow. Their skin bore faint bioluminescent patterns that pulsed like starlight underwater. There were 5 of them, each distinct in expression, yet moving with a unity that unsettled him. Marcus swallowed hard. How did you get in here?" The tallest, if she could be called tall, her head barely reaching his chest, tilted her head, her voice a blend of echo and whisper. "We were already here. This place is not yours alone, human." His training told him to hit the comms, to summon security. But instinct kept his hand frozen. Their eyes, silver, unblinking, weren't hostile. They were curious. "You shouldn't be here," Marcus said, forcing steel into his voice. "These quarters are sealed, restricted." One of them, her markings spiraling across her cheeks like constellations, stepped closer, her bare feet silent on the alloy floor. "Sealed to you, but not to us. We are daughters of Elyss. Hidden, protected, until now." The hum of the engine seemed louder, filling the silence between them. Marcus's throat tightened. He'd heard whispers in the mess halls about the Elyss. Matriarchal, secretive, wielding influence in the council. But never had he imagined this. And still, their question hung in the air, threading into his thoughts, unsettling him more than the shimmering forms before him. "Can you handle all of us?" For the first time since leaving Earth, Marcus Hale felt truly out of his depth. Chapter 2. The Hidden Daughters of Elyss. Marcus hadn't moved since the tiny figures revealed themselves, though every instinct screamed at him to act. Instead, he stood rooted by the viewport's pale starlight, watching the 5 luminous girls gather in a loose circle. Their glow cast soft ripples across the metal walls, as if his quarters had turned into an underwater cave. "You said you're daughters of Elyss," Marcus said at last, his voice rougher than he intended. The tallest gave a slow nod. "We are Starborn, carried across generations. Each of us carries a fragment of what our people hold sacred." Another girl, her markings spiraling like a galaxy along her arms, spoke with a quiet, melodic tone. "I am song. My voice remembers the stories of our line." The one standing slightly apart, sharp-eyed, lifted her chin. "I am strategy. My mind is shaped for decisions your kind would call impossible." One by one, they named themselves discipline, empathy, memory. Not names in a human sense, but functions, roles embodied. Together, they formed something whole. Marcus exhaled slowly, try to mask his unease. "And why are you here in my room? The Elyss delegation has entire wings of the station. They would parade us," Empathy whispered, her voice like wind through reeds. "Others would take us, bend us, fracture us." Her luminous eyes shimmered with something achingly familiar. Fear. The hum of Celestara's engines filled the silence again, steady and neutral, while Marcus felt the storm building in his chest. Aliens he could handle. Protocols, cultural briefings, layers of rules drilled into him at the academy. But this? 5 fragile beings looking at him as if he were the last shield between them and oblivion. Strategy stepped forward, her small frame brimming with confidence. "We chose you, human. You were assigned here for a reason, though perhaps not one your commanders intended." Marcus barked a dry laugh. "Chose me? I'm not a guardian. I'm a junior officer babysitting an empty wing." "Empty to you," Memory said softly. "Not to us. We have watched you. Your stubbornness, your refusal to bow in the corridors when others expect it. It is not, Elyss. It is human, and that is why you can hold what others cannot." Her words scraped against his nerves. He remembered the cold stares in the council chambers, the whispers about primitive earthling stubbornness. Humans weren't supposed to be anchors in this vast galactic hierarchy. They were supposed to be tolerated. Marcus shook his head, trying to ground himself in something solid. "You want me to protect you. But if anyone finds out you're here, if Command learns about this, I'll be finished." Discipline's bioluminescent markings flared, brightening the room like a pulse of lightning. "And yet you have not called them." His mouth opened, then shut again. She was right. The Starborn girls exchanged glances, their glow synchronizing into a single rhythm. Their unity was eerie, mesmerizing. Marcus felt like he was standing on the edge of something immense, an orbit he could never return from once crossed. Finally, Empathy's whisper returned, brushing against his ear though she hadn't moved. "You have already chosen Marcus Hale. The only question is, can you handle all of us?" And this time, the hum of the engine seemed to answer with him, steady and relentless, as if the station itself awaited his reply. Chapter 3. Fractures in the Hull. The neon glow of Celestara's lower decks bled to the haze of recycled air, painting Marcus's face in shifting hues of violet and green. He walked with a measured pace, eyes flicking from shadow to shadow. The 5 Starborn daughters trailed him at a distance, cloaked by their natural shimmer that blurred them into the station's crowded backdrop. To most onlookers, Marcus looked like any other officer running errands on the promenade, but his every nerve hummed with tension. The market was alive with sound, vendors clicking in alien dialects, the clang of metal canisters, the faint whir of gravity stabilizers overhead. Exotic spices burned his nose. Tangy oils dripped from sizzling stalls of meat Marcus couldn't name. A dozen species brushed past, some towering, some slithering, their gazes always lingering on the lone human. "You're being followed," Strategy murmured from somewhere behind him, her voice so faint it blended with the market noise. Marcus didn't need her warning. He'd already caught the reflection in a vendor's glass. 2 cloaked figures shadowing his every turn. Their gait was wrong for traders. Predatory. He ducked into a side passage, a narrow corridor where the light strips flickered with lazy neglect. The hum of engines vibrated through the walls. Louder here, like the station's heartbeat pressed close to his ear. "Stay hidden," Marcus whispered over his shoulder. The girls melted into shadow, their glow dimming, until only the faintest spark betrayed them. The assassins followed. One lunge of blade that shimmered with phased energy, humming dangerously close to Marcus's ribs. Instinct saved him. He slammed the attacker's wrist into the wall, sparks jumping as the blade scraped alloy. The second assailant came from behind, but Marcus ducked. the strike glancing off a pipe that screamed under the impact. No weapons, no backup, just him. He grabbed the nearest thing, a loose support strut, and swung hard. The makeshift weapon cracked against the assassin's mask, shattering the visor. The alien hissed, clutching its face as fluid leaked between its fingers. The other advanced, blade rising. Marcus's muscles burned, but he refused to step back. Earth cadets were taught to adapt, to fight dirty when nothing else worked. He feinted left, then drove his shoulder into the alien's chest, both of them crashing to the deck in a snarl of limbs. The blade clattered away, skidding into the shadows. The daughters emerged, their glow swelling in rhythm, surrounding the stunned attackers. For a moment, the corridor felt like the inside of a living star. The assassins scrambled back, terror etched in their movements. They fled without a word, vanishing into the neon-lit crowd. Marcus leaned against the wall, chest heaving. His knuckles bled, his ribs ached, but he was still standing. Song's voice broke the silence, soft and almost reverent. No Elyss warrior would have fought like that. Only a human could be so reckless and yet survive. Marcus smirked despite the pain. Yeah, that's kind of our thing. The hum of the engines vibrated again, steady as ever, as if the station itself acknowledged the truth of it. Chapter 4, The Bond of Many. The chamber was unlike anything Marcus had seen aboard Celestara. It was hidden deep within the diplomatic wing, sealed by layered glyphs that shimmered as the Starborn daughters pressed their glowing palms against them. With a sigh like a breath released after centuries, the doors parted. Inside, gravity surrendered. Marcus drifted the moment he stepped off the threshold, boots leaving the alloy floor behind. The air was warmer here, tinged with the scent of ozone and crushed flowers. Translucent crystals spiraled across the chamber walls, pulsing faintly with light, as if the room itself were alive, breathing in time with the station's engines. The girls floated around him, their luminous markings intensifying until they looked like constellations scattered across the void. Their movements were effortless, bodies gliding in arcs no human could mimic. Marcus, flailing slightly to steady himself, muttered, "I hate 0G." That drew the faintest smile from Song, her voice carrying through the chamber with a resonance that seemed to ripple the air. "Yet you endure it. That is why you are here." Strategy raised a hand, and the others formed a circle around Marcus. "Our bond is incomplete," she said. 5 fragments without a core. We are meant to resonate as one, but without anchor we fracture. Marcus blinked, disoriented by the light spinning around him. "And you think I'm that anchor? I'm just a man. A stubborn one, sure, but..." Empathy drifted close, her small hand brushing against his. Her touch was cool, feather-light, but in that instant he felt a flood of sensation, loneliness, centuries of isolation, the weight of expectation pressed onto beings who had never been allowed to be children. His chest tightened. "You feel what others cannot," Empathy whispered, her silver eyes shimmering. "That is enough." The circle contracted, their glow converging on him. Marcus braced himself, though he had no idea what for. Then the chamber pulsed, and suddenly he was inside them, not their bodies, but their thoughts, their emotions. Song's melodies, discipline's rigid calm, strategy's sharpened edges, memories echoing archives, Empathy's raw ache. They rushed through him like overlapping currents. For a moment, Marcus thought he would drown. His hands curled into fists, teeth grinding. "Hold steady," he muttered through clenched jaw. "One at a time, one at a time." The storm slowed. The fragments aligned. The voices, once clashing, now braided together around him. He realized with shock that his human stubbornness, his refusal to yield to chaos, was the very gravity they needed. The chamber glowed so brightly the crystals seemed ready to shatter. Then silence fell, The girls opened their eyes in unison. No longer fragments, but a single rhythm. Their whisper, when it came, echoed through Marcus's bones. You are our core. Marcus floated breathless, staring into their starlit faces. For the first time since leaving Earth, he felt something impossible, like maybe humanity did belong among the stars. Chapter 5, Betrayal Among the Stars. The unity they forged in the ritual chamber didn't last long. By the next cycle, the Starborn daughters were dragged into the glare of the Elyss Council hall, their luminous forms dimmed under the weight of accusation. Marcus stood just behind them, every muscle tight as armored guards pushed him to his knees. The hall was vast, tiered with balconies that stretched into darkness. Rows of Elyss elders looked down, their eyes aglow with cold silver fire. The chamber smelled of burning resin and ionized air, the Elyss equivalent of sanctity. One elder, robes cascading like liquid starlight, rose and pointed a sharp, jointed finger at Marcus. A human anchors what is sacred, a violation, a corruption. You would bind our daughters to your chaos. The words dripped venom. Murmurs rippled through the chamber, some of outrage, others of unease. Marcus clenched his fists, nails biting into his palms. They weren't safe, he said, his voice low but firm. You talk of sacred duty, but you hid them away like tools. I didn't bind them. They chose me. Gasps echoed like falling glass. The idea of choice, real choice of the daughters, was heresy here. Strategy's markings flared faintly. She took a half step forward, but Marcus caught her glance and shook his head. No, not yet. The elder's tone sharpened. You misunderstand. Human. Choice is not theirs. They exist to serve balance. And you, his eyes narrowed, exist here by permission only. Marcus's jaw locked. He remembered the way other species looked at him on the promenade, the disdain barely hidden behind alien courtesy. Humanity was tolerated, a curiosity at the table of empires. But here, in this hall, he felt the weight of it, like Earth was a child brought to dine with kings. And something in him snapped. You think permission is what keeps me here? Marcus's voice rang louder now, carrying into the vaulted space. You think laws and robes and long speeches hold the station together? No, it's people, flesh and blood, choice, loyalty. He raised a bruised hand, still cut from the assassin's blade. When they were hunted, I stood in the way, not because a council decreed it, because it was right, because I gave a damn when none of you did. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. Some elders looked stricken, others furious. But the daughters, glowing faintly brighter now, watched him with something else in their eyes. Not fear, not reverence, something closer to hope. Then, from the high tiers, another elder rose. Her markings flickered with unease. The human speaks with defiance, yet his words carry weight. A low rumble of dissent shook the chamber. Marcus stood straighter, breathing hard. He didn't know if he had just signed his death sentence or lit a fire the Elyss couldn't smother. But one thing was certain. They would never mistake him for silent permission again. Chapter 6, The Human Core. The first blast ripped through the station like thunder. The council hall shuddered, crystalline walls trembling as alarms shrieked. Elders rose in chaos, their silver eyes wide with fear. Through the viewport high above, streaks of light tore across the void. Enemy warships dropping out of slipstream, weapons blazing. Marcus barely had time to grab the nearest daughter as the floor lurched under a second strike. Gravity cut out for a heartbeat. Bodies floated before slamming back to the deck as stabilizers fought to recover. Sparks rained from shattered light strips, bathing the chamber in flickering red. Containment breach in Sector 12, a mechanical voice announced, calm despite the panic. Strategy's glow pulsed sharply. They're targeting the docking ring. If it fractures, the station will tear itself apart. Marcus's blood roared in his ears. He turned to the daughters, who clung together in the chaos. "We move. Now!" He pushed through panicked Elyss guards, dragging the girls into the corridor. Smoke curled along the ceiling, the air reeking of ozone and scorched alloy. The hum of engines, normally steady as a heartbeat, now faltered like a wounded animal. They reached an intersection blocked by a collapsed support beam. Marcus jammed his shoulder under it, muscles straining, teeth clenched. "Go," he barked. One by one, the daughters slipped through the gap, their luminous bodies casting frantic light on his sweat-soaked face. Only when the last had passed did Marcus shove himself free, gasping for air. The docking ring loomed ahead, a wide corridor curving around the station's hull. Gaping holes had already torn through its plating, stars burning cruelly bright beyond. Atmosphere howled through breaches, dragging debris into the void. Elyss engineers scrambled to seal them, but the damage spread faster than they could react. Marcus snatched a discarded plasma welder from the deck and leapt toward the nearest breach. The suction nearly ripped him off his feet, but he anchored the tool into the wall, sealing the gap in a shower of sparks. His arms screamed, lungs burning from thinning air. "Marcus!" Song cried, her voice echoing across the chaos. "I've got it!" he shouted, even as the deck tilted under another blast. "Just hold together." The daughters drew close, their glow intensifying until the air itself vibrated. Their voices rose in eerie harmony, threading into Marcus's mind. "We cannot stabilize without you." He braced against the wall, every nerve alight. "Then anchor on me, push through whatever it takes." The chamber flared white as their bond snapped into place. Marcus felt their thoughts flood him again, fear, resolve, aching loneliness. Yet he refused to yield. He became their gravity, their core, holding them steady while their combined power surged outward. Energy rippled through the station, sealing ruptures, shoring bulkheads, forcing systems back online. The wail of alarms faded to a low hum, as if the station itself exhaled in relief. When silence finally settled, Marcus collapsed to his knees, chest heaving. The daughters floated around him, their glow soft now, gentle. Empathy touched his shoulder. Her whisper carried no fear this time. "You did handle all of us." Marcus gave a tired, lopsided grin. "Told you. Humans are stubborn like that." Above them, the stars burned steady once more. And for the first time, the Elyss elders watching from the shattered gallery didn't see an intruder. They saw a bridge, human, flawed, and unyielding. The station drifted in quiet orbit above the violet nebula, its hull scarred but holding. Inside, the echo of alarms had faded, replaced once more by the steady hum of the engines, like the heartbeat of something that refused to die. Marcus stood at the viewporter's quarters, the same room where he had first heard the whispers. Stars spilled across the glass, endless and untouchable. Behind him, the daughters floated in silence, their glow softer now, no longer fractured fragments, but a single rhythm. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then empathy drifted closer, her hand brushing his wrist. "You could have left us," she whispered, silver eyes shining. "You should have." Marcus shook his head, a weary smile tugging at his lips. "Humans don't walk away when it matters. That's kind of our curse, or maybe our gift." Song's glow pulsed in gentle harmony, and memory added softly, "You are not just our anchor. You are our home." The words hit him harder than any council decree. He exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of it. The fear, the battles, the choice that had never really been a choice at all. He reached out, letting their small hands link with his luminous fingers lacing around callous human skin. Together they turned to the stars, a constellation bound not by law or tradition, but by loyalty, defiance, And something far deeper. Marcus whispered into the quiet, words that would linger long after. Then let's face the galaxy together. All of us. And beyond the viewport, the nebula shimmered as though the universe itself had answered.